Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into two of India's most important welfare schemes. These are programs that are truly lifelines for rural communities. But, and it's a big but, these lifelines are now caught up in some pretty serious allegations, raising big questions about their integrity.
This question, well, it really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. When the very programs designed to help people survive are compromised, the stakes just couldn't be any higher. This isn't just about money changing hands. It's about trust in the system and, the actual well-being of the most vulnerable families out there.
Okay, so before we really get into the weeds of the allegations, it's super important that we're all on the same page about what these programs are and why they matter so much to millions of people.
So, on one side, you have MGNREGA. The easiest way to think about this is as a massive safety net. It guarantees rural families a certain amount of paid work, which is just an absolutely crucial source of income for them. And then, on the other side, you've got the Jal Jeevan Mission, or JJM. Its goal is just as fundamental, if not more so, getting clean, piped drinking water straight to people's homes. So one is putting money in your pocket, and the other is putting safe water in your glass.
And let's be really clear here, these are not luxury programs. We are talking about the absolute basics for survival, the ability to earn a living, and the access to water that won't make you sick. They're designed to be a direct lifeline to those who need it the most.
All right, now let's get to the core of the controversy. Because with so much on the line, any hint of corruption is a really big deal. So what exactly is being claimed, and who's doing the claiming?
This is really the central question, isn't it? And the claims aren't just vague whispers. They point to very specific problems and how these huge, nationwide projects are actually being run on the ground.
So, according to the source material we're looking at, the Congress Party has come forward with allegations of what they call major corruption. And they're not just throwing these claims out there, they've specifically pointed the finger at the Chief Minister's office, zeroing in on how these critical central government schemes are being implemented.
Now this is where it gets really interesting, because this breaks down the specifics. For the Jal Jeevan Mission, the water project, the allegations are about things like jacking up the prices for pipes and equipment, or using cheap, shoddy materials that just won't last. For MGNREGA, the employment scheme, the claims are even more wild. We're talking about ghost beneficiaries, which literally means names on a payroll for people who don't exist, and funding projects, like a road or a dam, that were never actually built.
So right about now, you're probably thinking, wait a minute, aren't there systems to catch this stuff? And, well, in theory, yes, absolutely. But in the real world, when ordinary citizens try to hold the system accountable, they often run into a wall of problems.
Now, the main tool that citizens have is something called a social audit. It's actually a pretty brilliant idea. It means regular folks, people from the village, can actually review the official books and records to make sure public money, their money, is being spent the way it's supposed to be.
But trying to actually do a social audit? It can feel less like a civic duty and more like an obstacle course. First, you've got to even get your hands on the records, payrolls, project details, payment slips. Then, you have to somehow make sense of all this complicated government paperwork. And finally, you often face pushback and resistance from officials who might not be too keen on you looking over their shoulder.
But even with all those obstacles, it's not a lost cause. There is a proposed way forward. And what's interesting is that the focus isn't on some big, top-down fix. It's all about empowering people from the ground up to take back control.
So what's the answer? It really boils down to two things: education and empowerment. Giving people the know-how and the tools they need to watch over these projects themselves and demand the transparency they deserve.
And here it is, a concrete 4-step playbook for citizens. Step 1, get those local village committees trained up so they can conduct really solid audits. Step 2, use the Right to Information Act, or RTAI. It's a legal tool to demand those documents you need. Step 3, if you find something that doesn't add up, don't keep it to yourself. Go to the local media and get the word out. And Step 4, file a formal complaint with the state's ombudsman, the official body that's supposed to investigate this stuff.
But this brings us to a really crucial reality check. A social audit, as powerful as it is only as good as the community that backs it up and the officials who are willing to cooperate. You need both, an active, aware community and a responsive government. If you're missing one of those pieces, the whole thing can fall apart.
Which leaves us with this final thought, this big question. The solution, the path to accountability, seems to be putting the tools of empowerment directly into the hands of citizens. But a tool is just an object, right? It's only effective when someone actually decides to pick it up and put it to use. So the real question is, who will?